Greetings.
Hello.
Oh,
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good to be back.
Just in time for a snowstorm, right?
Oh, please.
We've been very lucky, but yeah,
Yep. But we should have had it before now, not now.
I know. Now we're used to just not having snow, but it is pretty. I get
Yeah.
so what was it on Friday night? No,
Yeah, Friday to Saturday morning.
yeah. So Saturday morning, woke up with some snow, and that was pretty. A little bit of snow. Now
It's
gone.
always pretty when it snows on the grass and the trees and not the roads.
Yeah, let's keep it that way, right?
Yes. I don't think we're gonna luck out tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know.
tonight, yeah.
I think out west, it's been really bad. I was talking with
Yeah.
someone in Ohio today, and the wind was bad. Everything was just awful. But we've been blessed. At least we're not in Buffalo, right?
That's true.
Or what was it? Sierra Nevada had 7 feet of snow over the weekend. I mean, 7 feet. I just can't even. I just can't visualize. It's too much.
I don't want to, thank you. I mean, it's nice to look at, but not having to manage.
That's right. We just had a delivery. Yeah.
Yeah, he just walked across.
Oh, good. Yeah. The Amazon guy just walked across. Well, I was like, oh, who is that?
She has spirits outside her window.
Exactly. Oh God. There's something from Staples. I can't be bothered driving. Anyway. All right, so we're gonna get started. Hello again. You know who I am, Susan Doyle, Oasis Senior Advisors, Downsized Gourmet Day. We won't be having a program next month because we're gonna be out of town. So we're gonna jump in today with what are we cooking today? Our secret ingredient, believe it or not, is anchovies. Anchovies. What do you do with anchovies? And you go, ugh. I always said, God, how could you ever eat an anchovy? To this day, my dad, when he gets pizza, he has to get anchovies on it. And I just go, ooh, it makes me skeeve. But anchovies are actually a great flavor. And the way we're going to use them today is we're going to cook with them and have them melt so that you're not going to be eating that anchovy fillet. The flavor of the anchovy is going to come out, and it's really what it adds is salt to the dish, so you don't really have to add that much salt. So it's a really great flavor. We're going to do 2 different recipes using the anchovies, and one is going to be boneless chicken thighs with anchovies, capers, and lots of garlic. The other thing that we're going to use with anchovies is linguine with clam sauce. So I'm Catholic. It is Lent. We're not allowed to eat meat on Fridays. And so you get a little bit bored of what you're going to have. Can't just have my pepperoni pizza, which I love on Fridays anymore. So yes, we can do fish, but I love linguine with clam sauce. Really, really easy to make. We're going to use canned clams. But we can also talk about if you're one to go to the fish market or grocery store and get the fresh ones, how you do that too. And then we're going to end with a salad. So we're going to get started with the boneless chicken thighs. So chicken thighs are really cost effective. This recipe, when you buy chicken thighs, sometimes you can get packs of 4. I don't know, I got these at Trader Joe's and they give you 5. I can tell you this recipe, I don't know, I always eat more than one of these things. It's yummy, but it's great for leftovers too. So you can either make as many as you want or use as many as you want, or make the whole package and save them for leftovers, because you can have this chicken dish cold afterwards. You can turn it into chicken salad. It's really very versatile because once you cook this, the chicken becomes very, very flavorful. So anyway, you've had the chicken thighs and you season them with salt and pepper on both sides. They say not too much salt because we're going to have that anchovy, but you know, chicken is kind of flavorless. So you want to add a little bit to it. And just a little bit of pepper. And if you're watching your salt, as most of us are, then you really can leave it out. But I would, especially since we're going to be putting the anchovy in it. we've made this a couple of times, right, Paul? Oh my gosh, I'm surprised how much we love it. So I'm gonna I have a big skillet that we're gonna be cooking it on, and I'm just gonna heat this up right now. And what do we do first? So we're going to be cooking with the capers. So capers are just kind of interesting. I never really knew what they were. I always thought they tasted fishy and salty, but really what they are is it's part of a plant. It's like the bud of a plant. And this is used a lot in Mediterranean and Greek food. And the reason why it tastes salty is because they're packaged in brine. Okay, and so that's why they're salty. So in this recipe, I already took them out, but we pat them dry because we're going to be cooking them in oil. And if you have that liquid, if you add any kind of water to oil, it spits. So we're going to pat it so that it doesn't spit. But we're going to cook with it asks for 2 tablespoons of capers that are patted dry, and we separate it because we're going to cook the first tablespoon in the oil, and at the end we're going to add the rest of them. So it's going to be anchovies, probably about 4 of them, and then also we're using 4 garlic cloves that we peel and smash, but don't chop them up because we're going to be cooking them in the oil. And last thing you want to do is burn the garlic. I don't know if you ever burn garlic. It's very easy to burn garlic. You can burn garlic all the time, and it's not very flavorful. So we're going to put some oil in the pan. It's heating up. I hope it's heating up. Okay, but it's heating up very quickly. And we're going to add, what does it tell me to add first? It tells me to add the capers. So I have 2 tablespoons of capers that I've already patted dry. And I really I drained them and then I put them through a piece of paper towel. And it's not sizzling yet, but I'm going to let that sizzle for a minute. And then we're going to add the crushed garlic. There we go. It's starting to sizzle a little bit. Sizzle higher. The garlic. You're going to say, oh my gosh, that's so much garlic. It's really not. Well, you might think it is, but it's not. Believe me. If you want to lessen it a little bit, that's fine. Okay, and we're going to take the anchovies. I think there's usually about 8 in there. I'm going to take half of them. If you're not a huge salt fan, then don't use as many. It's already said. We'll lower that now. Because what we're going to do is we're going to let them melt. I don't know if anyone's ever done this before. But as they cook in the oil, you just kind of press them down. Stop spitting. And they do start to dissolve as they cook. Believe me, they do. You can see this already. Can you see it? So they are starting to dissolve, believe it or not. And you just you keep moving them around the pan, and I press them down. Because what this is doing is flavoring the oil, and then in turn it's going to flavor the chicken, right? Lower that a little bit more. And just kind of move everything around in the pan so that the garlic doesn't burn. You can see this is starting to dissolve. And it doesn't take very long for it to dissolve. All right. Yeah, see, this is coming along pretty nicely. And then what happens with the capers is that they get a little crispy since we're cooking them in this oil. We're going to be doing the same thing with the linguine and clam sauce. So you kind of get used to this. Just be careful when you do this. And if it does spit, That you just, as I said, that you're careful with it, that you don't want to get burned. But, I'm using a really big fry pan. You can use a cast iron pan too. I had my cast iron pan out and then I put it away. I don't know, I just didn't feel like dealing with it. This is easier to clean than the other one. Okay. So then the next thing we're gonna do is that we're gonna put this. Gonna put the chicken in. And I'm just looking at this right now. I'm not too thrilled about what that piece looks like, so I'm just gonna place it down. Sometimes people are pretty particular about their chicken. I have friends of mine who cut them apart a little bit more. I'm just putting it down here. I'm going to throw a little bit of more pepper on this because I feel like it. All right. And then what else am I going to do with that? This away. And we're just going to let this cook. We're going to let it brown. And then we're going to flip it over and cook the other side, right? And then once the chicken is done, in about 7 minutes after that, we're going to remove the chicken and then make the sauce. That's going to have a little bit of lemon juice in it, some lemon zest, yeah, and some parsley. So really, really very easy. This takes, probably 20 minutes to make, all in all. Okay, so I am going to let this. Not yet ready. I'm gonna let this, put this over here. Sorry, put this over here because that's for later. And this is for later. And these are the capers that I get, right? So once you open up the bottle, you can just stick them in the fridge. So, and you can use them another time, which is what I'm gonna do because I don't need any more of these. So the other thing is anchovies. My mom, I talk about my mom all the time, and I didn't realize, so she makes stuffed artichokes all the time, but just with like breadcrumbs and stuff, and I always talk about like the 10%. She put the anchovies in her artichokes. I couldn't believe it. So, because I was making them with her, and it's like, oh yeah, you put anchovies in them. You chop them up, you mix it with the breadcrumbs and the garlic and the cheese, and then you stick it in. I'm like, oh my God. Really yummy. Really, really good. So, yeah, this is starting to brown a little bit. So I'm going to flip it over. Yeah, that looks good. I'm going to flip them over. Oops, that one didn't want to brown. That's okay. That one good. Same spot. Okay. So we're gonna do it spot and we don't flip through. So this chicken's gonna cook for another probably 5 to 7 minutes, as I said. So in the meantime, we're gonna talk about the linguine with clam sauce. So I started making it with canned clams. I mean, so these are the whole ones. They're the whole clams you can buy, the minced ones and the chopped ones. And I've done it with that too. But when you do it with these, you get to save the clam juice and use the clam juice to cook with. And that's kind of important. Because otherwise it's just kind of like you're eating bits of clam, which are okay. Sometimes people mix them. Get this. So in the linguine with clam sauce, as I said, we're going to use a ½ pound of linguine. If you like spaghetti or angel hair, use them. It's perfectly fine. I think linguine, it holds up better to it. And it's like, Susan, what are you doing right now? I am draining the clam juice out of the clams. All right. And this way, we're going to use that later. And that's what the recipe calls for, so I follow the recipe. Okay. So I've already cooked the linguine. Why did this stuff cooking? Okay. So what we're going to do is the very similar thing. Okay, we're going to use, and I got to stop saying okay, the the anchovies, just like we did with the chicken. And it really does make a good flavor. If you don't use the anchovies, and I've made linguine clam sauce without anchovies, and I don't know, I just think it's missing something. It's just that saltiness, okay? And since this is fish, you know, I think the anchovies just brings a lot more to it. If you don't want to use them, you don't have to use them. But once again, I opened up a can of anchovies. What do you do with the other anchovies, right? And that's what I wanted to emphasize. So we're going to do the same thing, is we're going to put in, this is basically it's saying 3 garlic cloves. This time we minced them, right? And then 1 can of the whole baby clams for a ½ pound. So if you do a full pound of linguine or full pound of pasta, you're going to want to double this, right? And then we're going to use lots of parsley. My mom always says, more parsley, the better. So just because it says, oh, maybe a 1/4 cup of parsley, it's always good to add more. It just gives more flavor. And we chop them up, because when you chop up the parsley, it really brings out that flavor, right?
Can you freeze leftover anchovies?
Can you freeze leftover anchovies? I don't know if you can freeze them. I mean, I put them in the refrigerator in a container, and just put the top on them, and then I'll use them within a week on something else. Can you freeze them? I'd have to Google that and let you know. I'm not sure. You might be able to. You might, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Okay, let me just get back to this. So we're going to start with, going to use the oil. Once again, that's piping hot already. And we're going to add the anchovies. And the same thing. I could probably drain them. I think that's probably, even though they're in oil, you probably drain them. So it doesn't fit as much. I'm going to put the fan on. Because we don't want the alarm to go off. So see, now since this is piping hot, it's melting a lot quicker. Right? So the hotter the pan, the faster it melts. See, it's really, really melting quickly. And you're going to see how fast it goes. So when you make the linguine, you know, it's a pot of salted water, and then it takes probably about 10 minutes. What is called the package? And you want it to be al dente, a little bit firm to the bite, because we're going to add it to this sauce at the end. Okay, this is super hot. Lower that a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to add our garlic. And this cooked really fast because my pan was super, super hot. So, but that's okay. So I'm gonna smash a little bit into it. Now I'm gonna add my garlic. As I said, these are 3 cloves. This goes very, very fast. And you cook that for a little while, not very long, really until it's fragrant, which is pretty immediately. We're going to add a tablespoon of butter to this. Let that melt. It's really hot. I wish this pan wasn't so hot. It's okay. And then what we're going to want to do is the calls for wine, which is always good. So some people say, well, what kind of wine do you put in it? I mean, I'm a fan of Peter Grigio, put Chardonnay and whatever you like, but white wine, it's whatever you're gonna drink. You know, if you like the taste of that wine, that's what you should cook with. Okay, so we're going to, so this melts, and then we're going to add the parsley, oregano, thyme, red pepper, and black pepper into this. So it's 1 teaspoon of each. So I've got oregano, thyme, you know, it says a teaspoon. You know, I always estimate a little bit of red pepper and black pepper. Get that all going, and a little bit of the parsley. Whoa, that's not happy. And then we're going to add. We're going to add some wine and the clam juice. So it's close to about a quarter cup of wine. Also watching to make sure the alarm doesn't go off. And the clam juice. And the clams. Very easy. Dump. Let that heat up. Stepping on this. And then I've already cooked my linguine. This is a half a pound of linguine. And you mix it all together. Oh. Oh, well, sorry about that, Paul. Never a dull moment in the Doyle household when we're cooking. So the linguine is going to really absorb that liquid. And then we're going to top it with some fresh parsley. And voila. That's done. So I'm going to put this over here for now. Wow. Didn't realize how crazy it would be. All right. All right. I'm going to open a window because it's oh goodness. There we go. Yeah, Paul asked me earlier, goes, should I bring the fan in? I'm like, no, it's gonna be fine. You know, it's not, this won't get smoky. I don't want you to be afraid that you're gonna burn down your house. You won't, I promise. You won't burn down your house. Okay.
We
will, right. All right. So let's get back to the chicken, which is now. I'm gonna split. Now it's definitely cooked. Because it's been in here for a little while. And it's nicely browned on both sides. Oh, that looks beautiful. Ooh. So now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna just double check. And make sure that it's cooked on the inside. So this big one, we're just gonna cut it out. Yep, that's done. So how do I know? I like it. I don't like it super dry. Some people like to overcook their chicken. You really don't want to. So we're gonna take this out. And then we're going to add. There it is. So since this is cooked with anchovies, sometimes you want to add a little bit of lemon juice, right? Because to kind of counteract that saltiness. So this is, I think, a tablespoon of lemon juice. And then I'm not going to overdo it on the lemon zest. I think lemon zest is super, super strong. And in the past, I have added too much and it was really, really lemony. So this asks for like I think a teaspoon, but I'm just going to put a little bit, just a couple of little, maybe a quarter, excuse me, a quarter of a lemon, because it's really, really strong. If you like things lemony, you can add more or less, you know, it's whatever you like. And then we're going to add the rest of those capers to this. I want to make sure there's nothing else I'm supposed to add. The lemon juice and the capers and the zest. So we're just going to cook that for a little bit. And then and I have my platter. And you're going to pour those capers and anchovies, you know, all that juice on top. And then I just got to throw a little bit more parsley on top, right? Really, really simple. I'm going to stick that over there. I'm going to move this over here. Right. So the next thing. I've got this salad. All right, that, as I said, I move this stuff a little away. Doesn't need to be here. So I have just, you know, a regular salad mixture, whatever your favorite is. I'm a big into, you know, the spring mixes. I like the lots of color. I add a little bit of tomatoes in here and some cucumbers, whatever you like, really. So this one calls for the Cara oranges. I saw them at Trader Joe's. That now I think the Sumos are. I see Sumo oranges a lot. But Trader Joe's, I don't know. I don't want to be pushing Trader Joe's, but they their produce tends to be good price. You know, so these are kind of cool because it reminds me. It's like a cross between a grapefruit and an orange. And if when you peel it, it does have the similar color to a pink grapefruit. You know, it's a little kind of grapefruity, if it makes any sense. And this is what, you know, this is the package, and they really do taste quite yummy. So, you know, you could squeeze them into orange juice or whatever. They're or just eat them normally, put them in a salad. But they're really good. I like them. Well, anyway, with this tool, I peeled this orange, and then what it tells me to do. Where's my knife? Huh? Can't hear. Oh, email address. Please don't forget your email addresses. Put them in the chat. My producer is reminding me. So we're going to cut it in half and then into thin slices. I thought that was interesting. Probably this is not a great knife to cut with, but depending on how large your salad is, you can use the whole thing, half of it. Oh, that's really yummy. But that was kind of cool because I opened it into half and then I cut it against the the slices of orange. So this way you get perfect little pieces in your salad instead of like great big pieces. Right? So I'm just putting that in there. And then this calls for orange. It calls for apples. So I thought this was kind of cool. So it tells you, you know, when you cut into an apple, it gets brown right away, right? And if you're going to put the apple in a salad or it's going to hang out for a little while, you don't want it to get brown. So what it tells you to do is you add some lemon juice, like 2 tablespoons of lemon juice to water. Just regular water. And then I'm going to now I'm going to cut my orange. I mean, if you have a corer, you can core it. But basically what we want to do is peel it and then take the seeds out and slice it into thin slices, right? So however way you peel your apples, if you have a peeler or if you do it yourself, whatever, just going to take the peel off. I do have a corer somewhere. And then we're going to slice it into thin slices. Right, just very simple. You could chunk it too. It really depends the favorite way to have it. I love the crunch of apple in a salad. All right, I'm actually going to do it in half. And then we're going to just let it sit in this lemon and water for a little bit. So this way it won't be brown on our salad. I thought that was a really interesting tip. Maybe you all knew that, but that was news to me, to tell you the truth. And I'm not going to use this whole thing, so I'm going to stick that in there. All right. So getting back to the salad. This calls for walnuts as well. So I have a couple of tablespoons of crushed walnuts, or as many as you want. If you don't like walnuts, don't put them in, but it does give it a nice crunch and flavor. Right? And sesame seeds. So when you get the sesame seeds from, like I just have, I'm almost done with these. You really want to toast them first. So what I did is I had a small little fry pan. I stuck them on a warm fry pan and just let them cook for a couple of minutes, make sure they don't burn. And this way they toast a little bit. They're just a little toasted. And then we sprinkle some on top. If you don't want to do the sesame seeds, don't do the sesame seeds. If you'd like to add sunflower seeds, you can add sunflower seeds, whatever you like. Okay. And then we're going to make the dressing. Let me put this out of the way. And this dressing is, it's a vinaigrette. Since there's orange in it, it does call for some orange juice. So I've got, when you make a vinaigrette, it asks for, usually you put mustard in it. This is asking for a mild mustard, a mild yellow mustard, which is usually like the golden, is it Gulden's or the yellow mustard, right? So we're going to put in, just have to look at this again, because I want to get it exactly right. So it's a tablespoon of balsamic. And then it's going to be a tablespoon of orange juice. This is just regular old or regular ordinary orange juice. And then you drink the rest of that. And then a tablespoon of honey. No, I'm not going to put it in the tablespoons. You know how it gets stuck in that. I'm going to just estimate it. And then it's a half a teaspoon of mustard. So just a little bit. Probably a little bit too much. Some salt and pepper. Pepper, a little bit of salt. And we don't add the oil yet. Then it's 5 tablespoons of oil. So you want to mix that around with a whisk. And then stop on it. And then extra virgin olive oil. So if you've got good olive oil, this is what you use it for, as the dressing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. That'll run. And then we whisk, 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 whisk. This way it gets all mixed together nicely. If you like this dressing, I would suggest you make more and stick it in a mason jar, right? And then use it. You know, you take it out, instead of buying, you know, there's dressings in the grocery store, you know, the pre-made stuff. You don't know what's in them. They put so much garbage in there. This way you can make it the way you want it to be made, right? You know how much salt is in it, you know how much spice is in it, right? You know exactly what it is. Okay. So I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to add the apple. Let's put the apples in here. And they really got that lemon it's amazing. I mean, maybe you knew this, but news to me. Okay. And I'm not going to put the dressing on right now because we're going to eat this later and I don't want everything to wilt. But then the dressing goes on top and you can save the rest for later. Then we have this so that you can see it. The linguine with clam sauce. I mean, it's really, we're very excited that we're having this tonight. I'm going to talk about making real quickly. I'm going to talk about making it with fresh stuff too, the fresh clams. And that we've got a lot. I mean, that's a half a pound. That's a lot. So if you want to make less, you can make less, right? So let me just add a little bit of this parsley. Now, if you wanted to use fresh clams, my mom, we just had some on Saturday. Went to my mom's house, my parents' house, and we made cockles with linguine. And the key to that, if you go to the fish market or wherever you get your fish, and if you get the fresh clams or cockles, you have to rinse them because my mom, as I said, my mom got cockles, which are really, really tiny baby ones, but they hold the sand inside the shell. You know, they are a living thing. And so you want to rinse them out in cold water. So this way the clam spits out the sand. My brother-in-law was in charge of doing that. He put it through water 20 times to get all the sand out. I couldn't believe it. So how do you know? Well, if you put it in a pot of water or, you know, a big bowl of water, and then you keep draining it, right? Then you'll see the sand and eventually there'll be no sand in the bottom of the bowl, right? So he did it 20 times. I couldn't believe it. So, but that's what you got to do, because otherwise you'll have sandy clams and no one likes sandy clams. But very similarly, you'll make this, you might add a lot, you know, more wine on it, but instead, so when you put the clams in, we put the clams in that way, you're going to put the whole clams in there and you know it's done when they open up, right? When the clams open up, then they're cooked. So if you buy the clams and you're not cooking them immediately, you need to make sure you keep them iced up. My mother she always constantly putting the ice on top of the fresh clams before she cooks them. You don't want to get them too far in advance, maybe the day before or the day of, if you're going to use the fresh clams, and then you cook it the same way. Very simple. So I'm just going to turn this off for now. So that's what we've got today. We've got our salad with oranges and apples and nuts, and then we've got our boneless and skinless chicken thighs that have capers and anchovies. I know it looks so fancy. And then our linguine with spam sauce. And we are so looking forward to having dinner tonight. We might have to have it sooner rather than later because it smells so good in here. So that is what we have this month. Anybody have any questions? I'm all ears. No questions. I know we had a couple going through, during this, but it's so much fun being with you guys every month. Keep in mind, next month, we're not going to be able to do this. And my little pitch for Oasis Senior Advisors. So if you know anyone who's needs to make a change to assisted living or memory care, any friends that you know, give us a ring. We're always here to help and help people navigate care at home. So we're here for you, as you know. But this is the Downsized Gourmet, and I'm not sure what's going to happen after March, to be honest. We'll see. I'll see if there's interest. But I know a lot of the senior centers are no longer Zooming or going away from Zooming. So we'll see. So keep we appreciate your support, right? Over all the, I was asking Paul, when did we start doing this? It was June of 2020. We started doing this because of everything had shut down over, from COVID. And now close to 3 years later. Wow, boy, it's been a long 3 years.
2 houses.
Well, what?
And 2 houses.
And 2 houses. Yeah, you saw us move. You saw us move. Oh gosh. So I hope you have a lovely February. I really hope we don't have too much snow tonight. No way. But we have leftovers for tomorrow, so I'm pretty psyched I don't have to cook. But don't everybody put their email in the chat. Don't forget that. So that I can, yeah, please put your email in the chat so that I can send them directly to you, because I know that they're not necessarily good at the senior centers from getting that information out to you guys. So anyway, that's all I got. So I guess bye-bye. I'm trying to see what we appreciate. Oh, you're welcome. Oh, thank you. I've really had fun. We've had so much fun over the last few years. We always look forward to Downsized Gourmet Day. We eat really well. We eat well anyway, as you can tell. But thanks again. I'll email you the recipes. I saw a typo in mine. So I just need to make sure that I correct that typo, and then we'll shoot those out to you. All right. So have a great day. Stay warm. Bye-bye.